So we are celebrating 30 years of Tina Tyus-Shaw at WSAV. So we wanted to do a little segment that we're going to call 30 Questions for 30 Years.
Oh, wow. 30 questions. I'm ready.
We could be here a month. Okay. So you grew up in Georgia in a place known as The Grip. Where is The Grip?
The Grip is Griffin, Georgia, and it is in between Macon and Atlanta. So I'm about 45 minutes from downtown Atlanta, my house. You love that, right?
She says everything's just around the corner from her house. Okay. So you went to college in Nashville at Tennessee State, and you followed a very notable family member there. Who was that family member?
My aunt, Tina Tyus, and my reason for going to Tennessee State was first and foremost to get an education. However, I wanted to run in her footsteps, walk in her footsteps. And the way that I would do that was hopefully to get a scholarship there and run for Ed Temple, the legendary coach who was a dynasty at Tennessee State. He was a legend. And I didn't quite make it like Wyoming did. However, I walked on the team. Mr. Temple gave me an opportunity, and I'll be honest with you, it was strenuous, working out 3 times a week, and I'm sorry, it was strenuous working out 3 times a day, and honestly, I just could not handle it after about 2-3 months. I did get an opportunity though, and I'm proud of this, to run in the Murfreesboro relays. You're familiar with Murfreesboro. Yeah, so I did well, but I just did not cut it, and I knew that I should not completely walk away from the team, from the Tiger Bells, but at least say, hey, Mr. Temple, just give me the towels and the water, I'll help. I'll do whatever it takes, because I really wanted to be on the travel team, and I got an opportunity to travel a little bit, but I just did not have it. High school was different. I was the best in my hometown. I ran everyone out of Griffin. College was different. Everybody did well.
Well, in that program, to put it in perspective, I mean, Coach Temple was like Coach K or one of these other legendary, I mean, he groomed Olympians like your aunt, people who went on to win gold medals. But he did say something funny about you, because he's a tough love kind of guy. So, you know, he said it, you knew it was said with love, but what did he, when he was comparing you to your aunt, what did he say?
Well, this is the day we were on the track, and we had on these weighted high top tennis shoes. We had to run across, I would say, 10 milk crates, but you were jumping like a kangaroo would jump. And I jumped, and then I fell on my face. And Mr. Temple said, Tyus, child, and I'm talking in his voice, you're slow as death. Your aunt was fast as hell. So.
I mean, he wasn't wrong.
You know, he wasn't. That was the day when I went to my dorm, Mary Wilson Hall, and I called out to LA. And I said, well, I mean, you're not going to believe what Mr. Temple said. I shared the story with her. And she said, child, I told you not to go to Tennessee State. She said, Mr. Temple's crazy. But in all seriousness, she knew and I knew that the best opportunity would be just to continue my education there. And Mr. Temple was cool, because he said, you can still get your mail in the post office. His wife, Charlie B., ran the post office. So for my 4 years at TSU, I still felt like royalty, so to say, you know?
Well, it became your family the way you still do things with your old Soras and, you know, folks from class. So it worked out.
It did work out.
Okay, so who is Rabbit? Who is that?
Oh my, so Rabbit is the person you're looking at. I am Rabbit. That's my nickname. And it's funny that you ask, because every once in a while in Savannah, someone will see me and say, hey, Rabbit. And I just kind of laugh. In fact, at the St. Patrick's Day Parade this year, Chief Roy Mentor with Savannah Police Department came up to me and he said, someone told me the next time I see you to call you Rabbit. And all I could do was laugh. I never asked, who told you that? My grandfather named me Rabbit. He said when you were a kid, you would, I'm twinkling my nose now, you would twinkle your nose like a rabbit. And so that's my nickname. Now all of you know.
Now after college, what was your first job?
My first job was in Macon, Georgia. And Ben, I have to tell you, I wasn't quite sure where I would go. I even tried for a job in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, just outside of Nashville, because I thought, hey, maybe I'll stay close to Nashville. That didn't work out, so I came home to Griffin and tried for jobs at all the stations in Macon. And I ended up getting a job, which I didn't try for necessarily. I just took it because I wanted to get my foot in the door as a receptionist.
At the station?
Yes, at Channel 24. And after my second week there, I noticed the news anchor, the main anchor, Joyce Morgan, and I kept saying, wow, her tag on her car says AKA. She's my sorority sister. So I will reach out to her eventually. I was nervous. However, I did reach out to her and I said, listen, I would love the opportunity to work in the newsroom for free. Yes, for free. I will do this job as a receptionist 5 days a week and just come in and learn from you and some of the reporters. And she said, well, you just have to talk to Ron. And he was the news director, Ron Wildman. And I said, can you talk to him for me? Because he was a burly looking guy and he did everything. He was the news director, he was the reporter, he was the photographer. He wore so many hats. And he was kind of scary looking, you know? But he was nice. As burly looking as he was, he had such a soft heart. And he gave me that opportunity. Now, after being there about 6 months, Teresa Morgan, one of the reporters, said, hey, go to Emory University with me. I'm going to put together a story on heart transplant patients. This is a big celebration for them. It's a reunion. And maybe you can put together your own story. I want to see how you write. That is what I did. We put together a resume tape. And after a year, I left Macon. And this is a crazy story because I didn't know what direction I would go in. So I decided to go back to Nashville. And I was selling clothes at the limited stores to the Judds, Tammy Wynette at the time. And I mean, every time they walk in, I guess I was just that cheerful employee. And I knew their faces and I knew they had money. So I was like, I'm going to sell them some stuff. Yes. And that is what happened. After about 6 months, I did get a job in radio. So I changed my playing card and said, I'll try radio. And I went, of all places, to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Beautiful. It is absolutely stunning. So many treasures on the Outer Banks. I cried for 2 weeks. You know, it is so far away. It's near the water, on the water. And so I didn't grow up around the water. It was just a different lifestyle. But I met some amazing people and ended up staying there a little over 2 years. And during that time, I would watch headline news. Now, this takes us way back to Bobby Batista, rest her soul. Right. I would just watch and I would say, I'm going to be like this woman one day. I'm going to be like her, and I'm going to be like Monica Kaufman Pearson.
In Atlanta. Yes,
in Atlanta. Monica is truly the person who inspired me to do this job. Eventually, I got in, and I got into a station in Columbus, Georgia, WRBL, which is now owned by Nexstar.
We have the same parent company. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And yeah, I had some great moments there. I got a chance to do what at the time we called cut-ins. It was just a morning 5-minute anchoring.
During the Today Show.
Yes, yes, nothing major, but it gave me an opportunity to grow and to cover my most memorable stories. And one of the stories is when Nelson Mandela visited Atlanta. That was a powerful moment for me because I watched his story, and his courage is what drew me to want to learn more about him. And of course, I got an opportunity to cover the 90, I can't remember the exact year, but it was the first time the Braves actually won the World Series. Oh, yeah. Yes. So I got that opportunity, and that was a good resume tape.
Right. Yeah. So what brought you here? Or when were you brought here, or how did you came here from Columbus?
Listen, this is a crazy story. So I applied for a job here in 1991. And I sent my resume tape to the news director at the time, Keith Young. Lo and behold, I never heard from Keith Young. But in 1992, I heard from a man by the name of Dave Winstrom. And it was funny because he says, hey, it's Dave from Savannah at WSAV. I got your tape here. And I'm saying to myself, I sent that tape over a year ago, and I didn't send it to Dave. I sent it to Keith Young. But I realized there's a new news director. And so he goes, it's all dusty. Yeah. Are you interested in coming to talk to me? And I said, sure. I came here March 27th on my birthday, 1992, for an interview. And I got the job. And the funny thing about this is deciding to leave and going down the wrong street here. I actually went down a one-way street. I said, I've never been in a city with so many one-way streets. It was Drayton Street. Oh, wow. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
Yes, but thankfully people were looking at me and they were signaling, hey, you're going in the wrong direction. Yes.
So what were you hired to do?
I was hired to be the weekend anchor. And I had to produce. It was so different back then because it wasn't as fast-paced as it is today. Of course, we didn't have the technology that exists today. But I was able to get through for 3 years as the weekend anchor, and Christine Belport joined me on my second year. She was my co-anchor. It was good.
And when did you move to the weekdays and to the evenings?
I moved to evenings 1995, around 95.
So it wasn't that much longer.
It wasn't much longer, no. And I've had so many husbands.
You have?
Yes.
How many co-anchors have you had?
So I will tell you this. We were a 3-anchor team in the beginning. It was myself, Peter, I'm trying to remember Peter's last name, hold on. It was myself, Peter, and Susan Rodman. And these were anchors who had great talent where they worked in major markets. Peter worked in Atlanta, and I remember watching him in my younger days. So I'm thinking, Peter Bannon, I get an opportunity to work with him. And then Susan Rodman came here because she had ties to Paris Island. That's where she was born. And the news director at the time was Michael Sullivan. He figured we will do like ABC News. When they had the 3-anchor team, Max Robinson, and you had Fred, and I can't think of the other anchor, but I would be the anchor in the field. So every day I had the lead story. And it put a lot of pressure on me, but it made me appreciate this field a lot more because it was fast-paced, and I was able to get it done. Now, sometimes I was pulling my hair out, but trust me, I was kicking my heels to the side and saying, I have to get the story done. I only have 30 minutes to make it happen. And you know how we do in TV. It's crazy sometimes, but we make that magic.
Right. Let's switch to personal for a few moments here because, you know, you met your husband here in Savannah, so how did you and Jimmy meet?
Well, this is an interesting story. His mother lived not far from this TV station on Maupus, and she was well-known interior decorator. She decorated my sister's home in Richmond Hill. And I fell in love with the window treatments and the shower curtains and bedspreads. And I was like, this lady lives here and she did this, really? So I decided when I had my home built to ask her to support me. Hey, come and decorate for me. And it was funny because when I went into her Florida room, she had a picture of this young man and surrounded by these girls. And so I said, who is that? And she said, her name's Elizabeth Shelton. She said, that's my one and only son. And I said, oh, okay. I said, he's handsome. And she said, do you want to meet him? And I was like, sure. Honestly, he's military. He was based at Fort Jackson in Columbia at the time. And so when he came home for Thanksgiving weekend, that's how we met. And the rest is history.
I mean, it is.
Yes.
Now, we're a little jealous of Jimmy because Jimmy's retired.
Twice.
Twice. So what is he retired from?
So he's retired from the Army. He was a sergeant, retired as a sergeant from the Army, and he also retired from teaching junior ROTC at Beach High School. He taught for 18 years, and the beauty of that story is we've been able to mentor so many of his kids to make sure that they have a better life. They've really done amazing things.
And they've shared their appreciation with him
Yes,
too,
and I
which
love
is so
it.
nice.
Yes, they write, they call, and some of them call him Daddy Shaw.
So you have lived in the same house this whole time.
This whole time, and I will share this, Ben, because most people know I have 3 adult, I call them my own kids. These are my kids too. They're adults, and they have supported us to the utmost. We've had some troubling times. One of the most devastating times is the year after we married. We were pregnant with twins, and I was here. Jim Carswell was my co-anchor at the time, and I will never forget this. I was on the set. It was 11 o'clock. We got into the first 2 minutes of news, and as we were going to the commercial break, I just felt so bad. I felt a pulling, but I really wasn't sure what was happening, right?
First pregnancy.
Yes. And during the commercial break, I said to Jim, I don't feel right. And he said, you know, I've got it. Just go home. You need to take care of yourself. And crazy me said, no, I'm okay. I can make it. Every commercial break, it seems, I was having contractions, but I really didn't know what was truly happening. I finished this newscast, and then I had the nerve to go ahead and do a radio news that we alternated every night. I did that, and finally, I did call my husband, by the way, during those commercial breaks, and he came here. We left the car here, and we went home. But Jimmy said, I'm going to take you to the hospital. I was like, no, I'm okay. We get home, and he says, take a shower. I did all of that. And I have this elastic belt I will never forget. I put it around my waist, and I said, oh, Dr. Carr said if I have any pain, just put it around your waist and also call him. That's something I did not do. I figured I would be okay. By 2 a.m., Jimmy said, I don't care what you say, we're going to the hospital. We made it to Candler Hospital, and we knew that we were carrying twin boys. They said we hear 2 heartbeats. So that was great to hear. And mind you, I was in my mid-30s. So I was considered high risk. The nurses called Dr. Carr, and he lives on Wilmington Island. He said, have her transported to Memorial. They did. I remember Dr. Carr walking. I just felt like I could, I still see this and hear it. His penny loafers. He was walking hard down the hallway into the room at Memorial. And he said, Tina, I told you if anything happens to call me. And I was like, okay, I know, but I'm okay. And all I remember after that is he said, I got to check you out. And he did. And it had to be around 6 that morning. I know it was sunrise. And I thought I was dreaming, but I saw a room full of people, doctors and nurses and my husband. And then I heard his cry. And I immediately said, what's wrong with me? Someone has to tell me what's wrong with me. And one of the nurses took my hand. Dr. Carr came over and he said, I'm so sorry the babies didn't make it. And you would have thought for sure if you were sitting in the studio at that time that you heard me scream, because I feel like my scream could be that scream traveled from Memorial all the way to the studio. I was devastated, and I asked the nurse, isn't there something you can do to bring my babies back? Understandably, I'd never experienced anything so tragic. And she just squeezed my hand. But what I love about everyone in that room is the fact that they were passionate with me. They took time with me. They took time with my husband. And we got a chance to say goodbye to our boys. However, our hello, we got a chance to say hello, but that hello was, of course, goodbye. And so we continue to make it every day and think of them. And the best part about this is the fact that they're nearby. They're buried at Hunter, and we can see them anytime.
Wouldn't you say that was probably one of the first times that you really felt, because I think there have been many times throughout these 30 years where you felt the care of this community, but that was probably one of the first times where you realize, wow, this is a relationship I'm having with everyone at home, because there was a lot of concern for you.
A lot of concern, a lot of love, and I have so many emails that I printed to show and to share, cards from all across the coastal empire and low country. I left work for 18 weeks. I could not come back, and honestly, I didn't know if I wanted to come back because it was really tough to come back and see that love, and even to receive calls from my coworkers during my absence. It made me feel and know what it is to be true and what empathy means. And there were so many people who showered me with that.
It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then came Celine. You call Celine your miracle baby, so why do you call her that?
Well, Celine was born a year after the twins passed, and we really didn't think we would try again, but it happened. And she was only 3 pounds, 8 ounces. And she was born on Mother's Day. And I could not believe, I'm looking at the little toes and the little fingers, and knowing that she was meant to be, and that God gave her to parents who can take care of her. And we're just grateful to have her. She's had her share of illnesses. We continue to love on her, and the 3 adult children that we have, they continue to love on her. So we're just truly blessed.
Because baby Celine graduated high school a couple of years ago. She's pursuing a whole bunch of interests now.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. And right now she's talking about EMS, and she's taking those courses at Savannah Tech, doing quite well. And
hasn't left the nest yet. I mean, you're lucky. Like, people are like, you know.
Now, if you want to consider that lucky, so anyway. But she's doing well. She's, we're just giving her a chance to find her way. I think that's important, because when she first graduated, she had opportunities to go to several schools, and we were excited for her. But what we learned as parents is you have to give them a chance to find themselves, so to say, and find their way, but they need a nudge every once in a while. And so for Celine, she's just sweet Celine, and she's doing well.
We know big things are ahead. You have fur babies as well.
Yes. So we've had a variety of dogs in my home. However, our 2 fur babies right now are Noodle. He's our Schnauzer. He's old, and we love him. He's suffering with dementia right now, and he hears when he wants to hear. I don't know if you're familiar with dogs. They hear when they want to hear. And then our newest fur baby is Mango. He is a boxer. We love boxers. He's 4 months, and December, January, February, March, April. Yeah, he's 4 months. And October, November, December, January, February.
It's going fast.
He's actually 7 months. So our boxer, Mango, is 7 months, and he's hyper. He takes control, and we love them. We're an animal family. We've absolutely love our dogs as like they're our kids.
Yeah, 100%. So let's switch back to news here a little bit now. When you think about these 30 years, and we'll talk about Buddy Check in a moment, that's a program that is near and dear to your heart, but what are some of the bigger headlines of these last decades that stand out to you locally here in Savannah?
One of the biggest headlines for me is when I came here, I was covering education. And the superintendent at the time was Dr. Pat Russo. It was a crazy situation. I could not believe that I was covering a story where the superintendent would likely lose his job because of an extramarital affair, and a baby was involved. And it was shocking. I was at the press briefing. He was always so kind to me, but he knew that I would be that reporter to ask the tough questions and to hold him accountable, and I did. I was just as shocked as everyone else, but I did not mince words or play any favoritism with him. I needed to get the message out to our viewers, and I did exactly what I will do at any time when it comes to any story, no matter how big or small it is.
Well, I think it paints a picture of just how, in places like Atlanta, the news anchors can live separate from the headlines, but here in Savannah, we're all connected in so many ways you just don't know. It's kind of like a minefield. But on the lighter side of things, I see a prop over here, which I'm guessing is one of the best lighthearted stories you've got to cover.
Yes,
Let me go grab this. We have props. What is this?
This is my Olympic torch. Yes, so in 1996, when the games were held here in Georgia, I had an opportunity to be a part of Community Heroes. And I carried the flame.
For a mile?
It was not a mile, it was less than a mile, but there were over 20 people in Savannah who were community heroes. It was quite an honor.
Because the sailing events were here, even though the Olympics were in Atlanta, we had a few.
Yes, all 2 minutes that they showed on air. So, seriously, that is all we got here in Savannah. But yes, I had an opportunity to carry the flame, and I was on Bay Street, and it was magnificent. There were people everywhere. To be able to carry this torch and to represent my state, to work in my state, and to know that I come from an Olympic family, this was huge. However, I thought of it as being a community servant, doing what I enjoy most, helping people. That is one of the reasons I decided to do this job, because I feel like no matter how big or small the story, I've always been able to make people comfortable to share their stories with me when others have not been able to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I'll call that Olympic torch. Okay, so
What number are we on?
I don't know. We might run out of daylight. Hold on. Okay. All right. So I know, and most people will know you from anchoring the evening news. The other thing you're probably most noted for here is the Buddy Check 3 program. So how did that come to be, and what is that?
So when Kevin Brennan came here, Kevin's our news director, Kevin came here 2 weeks before I got married. So he came here 21 years ago. August will mark 22 years that he's been here. He mentioned to me that he wanted me to consider doing Buddy Check. And I said, what is that? And it's a breast health program. He said, Jeannie Blaylock in Jacksonville, where I once worked, started Buddy Check. And the day determines your number on the dial. So of course we're channel 3, so Buddy Check 3 Day is the 3rd of every month. And I thought about it, and I read up on Jenny and everything that she was doing, and I said, okay, this sounds like it would help people. It will make a difference in their lives. It will actually save lives. And I said, sure, this will be good for me, being a woman also, and knowing that I have so many women in my family, and some who forever have not even talked about breast health. Back in the day, people would shy away from talking about it, and I know people who died, people in my very hometown, but I didn't learn that they passed away because of breast cancer until I started this program. Yes.
Are there a few stories? I mean, I know you have care and concern for all of the women that you've profiled and the men, but are there stories that stand out to you from that made a big impact?
There's a woman by the name of Cynthia Allen, and I did her story during COVID, shared her story, and Cynthia is amazing. She allowed me to ask her any and everything about her journey, and because she has touched so many people in the community, it was amazing because we had these masks for Buddy Check 3, and we did her story after she rang the bell live outside the Lewis Cancer Research Pavilion. she walked out, and there were so many people, just a sea of people from her church supporting her and realizing that all she's preached at church, because she talked about it, she preached taking care of your breast health, watching WSAV, following WSAV on social media and on our website to learn more about your breast health. That is one of the biggest stories that sticks out to me. And then there's Dr. Susan Mahaney. She just retired from Telfair Breast Surgery. She is one of those people who has stood with me from the beginning on Buddy Check 3. When I went to her and said, hey, what do you think about teenagers being involved in Buddy Check 3? And in October, we'll do something special where we will have them at the Lewis Cancer Research Pavilion, and we will educate them. And we will have some fun, but the number one thing is to educate them about their breast health. She thought it was phenomenal. And that is what we did for 2 years, and then COVID came, and so we changed our plans. This last year, I decided during COVID to go to Effingham County, share with young teens and the top ladies of distinction breast health and why it matters to them and why they should consider taking care of their breasts. And then I went to Hinesville to Bradwell Institute. Same story. The girls who showed up for every event that we've had were so appreciative. Many of them, especially from the rural areas, would say things like, we don't have access to the health care that you have in Savannah. We don't have transportation to get from point A to point B. Thank you for helping us learn. And it means the world to me because I know that we're making a difference with this program.
So away from work, you're also involved with young people, and you make the rounds, you host summer programs and the like. What do you do with it? You call it the Speak Academy.
Yes, it's called Speak Academy. Yeah. And really, Ben, the true goal of Speak Academy is to work with athletes to help them know how to say it the right way under the bright lights on Friday nights, whether they're on the football field or on the basketball court, on the golf course, no matter where they are, because you know for yourself, we've been in their shoes, we were teenagers, and we like to have a lot of fun. But what happens when the camera is pointed to your face and you're asked a question? Many times we freeze up. Our knees will lock up. Our hands become sweaty, and we stutter, and we just don't know what to say next. So it gives me an opportunity to work with these young people, to mold them and just to lift them as I climb.
So what would you say it is about Savannah that's kept you here all these years? I mean, you know, you could have worked a lot of places.
Listen, never thought I'd be here for all these years. I'm going to be honest with you. The goal was to be here for 3 years. I was young. I mean, we see young people come through all the time. And my goals were similar to theirs, to stay for 3 years and move on. But Savannah just has a charm and a love. This community has been so giving to me. And not only Savannah, I want to make that clear, all around the coastal empire and low country, because I've tried to make sure that I stretch and visit as many communities as possible. And I've done that mainly because of Buddy Check, being able to share the stories all around our region. And just the love, the fact that people trust me and they believe in me and they know they can count on me makes a difference. Yeah.
So what, when you contemplate an eventual retirement, because you're too young for that, what does that look like for you? What are you hoping to do in retirement?
Well, truly, I'd love to write books, and I'd also like to get into acting. Actually, I'm pursuing that right now.
Now that's a hot tip. Now I didn't even know that one.
I am pursuing that. I feel like it's a calling, and I know I can do it.
You could do it.
I have a lot of confidence, and I've always been very aggressive. So I just feel like if I get that one opportunity, to meet Oprah, she's in town right now, to meet Oprah, and we graduated from the same university.
Yeah.
I'd just like to actually meet her, but in all seriousness, acting is what I've had a desire to do for a very long time. And so I'm pursuing it.
That's exciting. Okay. Well, and speaking of aggressive, I don't know if I'd use that word, but there is you have your Rolodex is impressive. Like the names in the phone. And this woman will, I don't care if you're the sheriff, if it's 2 a.m. and we need something, you're going to call him, aren't you?
I am. Yes,
So just know if you give her your number, it don't matter the time of day, it's great. I mean, that's what we need to be in this business.
Well, I got to tell you, all the contacts that I've made throughout my career here, and 30 years is a long time, I've been able to reach out to these people because they've trusted. Trust is big in this business. And sometimes they won't give me the answer that I really need or that I'm looking for.
But they'll take the call.
But they'll take the call. And I think that says a lot about any agency or any person I've made a relationship with over the years. And I truly do appreciate them believing in the fact that Tina is going to, for one, always tell it like it is. And I've always said, no matter who you are, I will always ask the tough questions. That is the right thing to do, and you don't get a pass. And I'll love you the same.
It's a great way to end it.
Yes.
30 years
Yes.
for Tina Tyus.
And I just want to say one thing before I end. I've had a lot of co-anchors, and they've all been amazing. You, I must say, have helped me grow tremendously. And I'm about to tear up, so don't make me cry because these fake lashes will fall off. You know how we do.
We don't want that.
Yeah, so you have helped me grow. And it's so funny because when we're on set, many times when we're about to say something, and we kind of think alike now because we're...
Could be sharing your brain, yeah.
We really could, yes, yes. So I want to thank you and say how much I truly, truly, I love you. You're such a force in this industry, and you've made a difference here at WSAV. I hope you realize that. And to all of my other co-anchors,
No offense.
love y'all, love you. And you know that, the Michael Jordans, the Jim Carswell. Jim is one of those people I can still call on.
Yeah.
And Jim calls me all the time. I just want to let you know about such and such, or he'll text. That says a lot about his character, the relationship that we had when we worked together, and so many others. Russ Riesinger, we still talk.
Yeah.
And I just cannot say enough how blessed I am to still be here. I wouldn't have it any other way. I love Savannah, Hilton Head, Beaufort, Bluffton, Darien, Liberty County, and points in between. Thank you so much for allowing me to come into your homes every day. These 30 years have been amazing, and I truly, truly do appreciate you.